Hey everybody, it's me Chris. I'm back over here in the kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make Italian rainbow cookies. One of my favorite cookies, and I think the king of all cookies really. And I remember at a very young age going to my Aunt Gloria's house in Brooklyn for Sunday dinner, and we used to beg for a quarter so we can go down to the bakery and get one rainbow cookie. And they're really delicious. I found a recipe years ago that I think tastes just like the bakery. Is from a website called tastingtable.com, and that's what I've been using. I only make them once a year for Christmas because they're not easy to do, but I'm going to show you a couple tricks that I think will make it a little bit more manageable. But let's start with the ingredients. I'll show you what I got. All right, so here's my ingredients. I got 4 eggs. I got them in a bowl here because we got to separate the egg whites from the yolks. I got 2 cups all-purpose flour, 1 cup of sugar. I got a 1/4 cup of milk. I got some raspberry jam here. We only need about 8 ounces of this jar. It's about half a 16-ounce jar. I got a bag of semi-sweet chocolate chips. You need almond paste. I mean, this is really an essential ingredient, and this is what makes it taste like the authentic ones from the bakery. I got 3 sticks of unsalted butter. It's soft. I got almond extract. You need the food coloring because these cookies are the color of the Italian flag, so that's red, green, and white. Red and green. I got some non-stick spray. And then I have the recipe here. If you want to take a screenshot of it, you can go ahead and do it now. All right, so you do need some really specialized tools to make these cookies and to make it easier on yourself. So you need 2 cutting boards. All right, I got these 1/4 size sheet pans. You need at least 3 or 4 of those. And then I got the 2 cutting boards you can see are a little bit bigger than the pans. I'll show you why. I got some wax paper that fits into the 1/4 size sheet pans. I have a scale because we have to divide this batter 3 ways. And then you need some mixing bowls to separate it, and you need a good rubber spatula. All right, so the first thing we got to do, I got here in my bowl, I have the butter, I have the sugar, and I have the almond extract. And now I'm going to take my almond paste. This is what it looks like. And I'm just going to break it up as best I can. Okay, and once I get that in there, I'm going to put this on the mixer and I'm going to mix it until it's really well incorporated and combined. And what you'll notice is if you've never used almond paste, I mean, this is what makes the rainbow cookies smell like rainbow cookies. It smells really, really good. So this looks pretty good. I'll scrape it down a little bit and just mix it just a little bit more. All right, so this looks good. I had it on high for just a few seconds to really get it nice and creamy. And now I'm just going to add the milk right in. All right, and after you add your milk, you get the yolks with your fingertips gently. And just grab the yolks and let the whites fall through your fingers. And that's how you can get the yolks out, okay? All right, so now I got my milk and my egg yolks in the batter. I'm going to scrape down the sides, and I'm going to mix this again till everything's combined. All right, so this looks good. Now I'm going to turn this on low, and I'm just going to add my flour. All right, so once the flour is really well incorporated, I'm just going to take my batter, and I'm going to transfer it to one of my mixing bowls. All right, so I got my batter here transferred to a bowl, and now I got to take care of these egg whites. We're gonna whisk these to nice stiff peaks. So I cleaned and dried my bowl. I got the whisk attachment. I'm just gonna put them in and whisk them to their nice stiff peaks. All right, so this looks good, and now it's just gonna make the cookies a little bit lighter. So now we got to fold this into the batter. All right, so we're just gonna take these egg whites, and I'm gonna fold them in with the rest of the batter. All right, so this looks pretty good. And you can see I'm kind of folding from underneath and then in the middle and just back and under. And then I don't want to overmix it. You can see there's still some streaky white parts, but that's okay. You want to keep the air in there and it makes the cookies a lot lighter. All right, now and this is where your tools come into play, all right? So I got the same size mixing bowl here as I have my batter in. I'm just going to put this on my scale. I got it set to grams. I'm going to hit the tare button. All right, so I'm going to zero that out. And now I can weigh the batter to see how much I have, okay? So I'm gonna put that down. Make sure you get all the batter off of your spatula, okay? And now we can look and see, and I have 1,215 grams, so I have to divide that by 3. So I need about 400 grams to divide this into 3 equal parts. All right, so I come back with my empty bowl again, and I know I gotta get 400 grams. So I'm gonna go ahead and, oh, almost got it on the first try. 397, and just a little bit more, let's see. All right, that's perfect. All right, so now I got 3 equal amounts of the batter. I got a couple spatulas here. I don't need to color this one because I need 1 white layer. So I got my food coloring. I'm just gonna eyeball it. I mean, I'm just gonna put a few squirts of the red in there. You want enough to make it a nice bright red color. And then I'll do the same thing with the green, and I'll just mix them up. All right, so these are ready to go. I got my red, green, and the white. I'm gonna just move these on the side. And now, this is really the hardest part. I gotta get these ready to bake. And this dough, this batter is super sticky. So the hard part is getting them into the pans. Now I'm gonna show you my trick, okay? So the first thing you wanna do is put a little nonstick spray in the pan like this. All right, and I'm gonna take a piece of my wax paper and press it into the pan, just like that. All right, now I'm gonna spray a little more on top, just like that. And then what you wanna do is get this batter, see how sticky it is? You wanna try and get it all out of the bowl as much as you can without leaving any behind. And then I'll show you how to spread it out. All right, so I think I got as much out of the bowl as I can, and you really got to use your fingers and just try and scrape the spatula as clean as you possibly can. All right, so here's a little trick. So I want to spread this out as evenly as I can. So I'm going to use this spray, and I'm just going to spray my spatula. Don't worry if there's still some on there, and just start to spread it a little bit. You see how it doesn't stick much? All right, and you're gonna have to do that a couple times. All right, so I'll spray it again and just try and start to spread it nice and even, just a little at a time, all right? All right, so this looks pretty good. I'm gonna use my finger and just scrape the rest off. You got it, I got it pretty close to the edge, but not all the way. And we're not done yet. Now what you do is just a little more spray right on top, just like that. I'm gonna put another piece of wax paper right on top, okay? And then I'm gonna take a couple more of my pans. I'm just gonna put them right in there and give it a nice good press, just like this. And that's gonna really get it to the edge. And hopefully you can see it's nice and even and flat. Just press it as firm as you can. All right, and then you can just use your hands. Just make sure it's as even as possible. You want it all to be the same thickness. All right, and this feels pretty good. And we're just gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna leave it just like that. I don't have to take this paper off. I'm gonna bake it just like this. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing with the red and the same thing with the white. All right, so this is what it looks like. And I got them as even as I could. If it's not perfect, don't worry. And if it's not all the way to the edges, don't worry, because we'll trim it. But I'm gonna leave these just like this with the wax paper on. It really makes it easier. I'm gonna bake these 10 to 12 minutes, that's all they need, and then let them cool. All right, so this is what they look like when they're finished baking. And the wax paper should come right off. There should be no sticking whatsoever. So I'll just set that to the side. And if you get any brown bits, just take them off, okay? You can put them to the side. And what I want to do, I'm going to get a fresh piece of wax paper. I'm starting with the green. All right, I'll just put that down. And now here's where I'm going to use my cutting boards. So I'm just going to put this right on top. Flip it over, all right, and we'll take it out. And now we're ready to build our layers, starting with the green. All right, you can see it's a nice even layer. These came out really good. And I'm using raspberry jam, but you could use apricot. Sometimes I do it with apricot. It's whatever you like, but you don't want to put too much. Just a nice even layer. All right, so now the white goes in the middle. And then you gotta, here's the trick. You got to flip this on top of the other layer. And the key here is not to hesitate at all. All right, so don't try and gently lower it. Just flip it over, let it fall right on top. That's it. Okay, see, I lift the pan off, and then boom, it's It's perfectly centered. All right, and we're ready to put the next layer of jam. All right, and again, just a nice even layer. It's probably like maybe a quarter of a cup or less for each layer. So the white is done. I got my jam on, and again, just kind of line this up, leave a little space, and remember, no hesitation, just let it fall down. And it's real easy, just like that. All right, so this looks great. I got my layers all done here, and what we're gonna do is, you see, I don't know if you can see, but it's a little uneven, especially if you really gotta let it cool completely, okay? I probably could have let this cool a little more. You could see the middle sunk down a little bit, but that's okay, because we're gonna press this down overnight, and that's the next step. So I got a fresh piece of wax paper here, and then this is where the extra cutting board comes in. I'm using the flat side. I'm gonna put it right over the top, just press it a little bit, and then you need something heavy. I mean, I got some tomato cans here to put on top, and I'm just gonna set these like this and put this right in the fridge. All right, so that's it. And then if you got a cast iron pan's usually pretty good to weigh these things down. But the idea is let them sit overnight, and the weight will press them down, make the cookie layers nice and even, and then we can put the chocolate on and the cookies will be ready to cut. All right, so this is what it looks like. Now these have sat in the fridge overnight, and I just want to show you what it looks like. And you can see they're pressed nice and even, and this is ready for our chocolate to go on. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to melt enough chocolate for each side. So I'm going to start with about probably like a quarter cup or half a cup of chocolate chips. I'm going to melt this in the microwave. I'm just going to do about 30 seconds at a time and stir it so that the chocolate doesn't burn. So my chocolate's melted, and now I'm just going to scoop it onto the cookies. And what you want to do is you want to get a nice thin layer. So you don't want too much excess. And what I'm going to do is I'll start with this rubber spatula and just spread it out a little bit, just like this. Really well is if you can get one of these offset spatulas. This really helps give you a nice thin layer. So I'm just going to spread this out nice and thin, make sure it's coated, and then we'll do the other side. So this side looks good. I'm just going to put the wax paper right back on top. I'm going to put my other cutting board right on top, and then I'll give this thing a flip, just like this. Okay. And now I'm going to do the other side. Just uncover it, and I'm going to melt some more chocolate, and we'll do this side. All right, so this looks good. It's nice and even. I'm just going to pop this in the fridge, and we're going to let the chocolate harden. It should take about an hour, and we'll be ready to cut these. All right, so these are ready. The chocolate has set up very nicely, so I'm going to flip these back on to the original cutting board. All right, so this is what it looks like when the chocolate is nice and set. And I put this back onto the original cutting board. I flipped it back on. I took the wax paper off, and now I'm ready to trim it. The thing I do is, first of all, use a nice serrated bread knife like this. It makes it easier. And I just cut it in half to make it a little bit easier to work with. Just right down the middle. Okay, and then you can see inside how nice it looks. And then I'm going to trim the edges, and then I'll show you how to just cut the cookies out. All right, so I'm going to work with one half at a time. And I'm just going to trim the edges off, and then you could snack on these. You don't want to get rid of them. But I'm just going to trim that edge. I'll trim the side here. And just keep your fingers off the top, because the chocolate will start melting. It's going to make a mess. Once your edges are trimmed, it's up to you to decide how big you want to make the cookies. I'm going to split these in half, just like this. And I'm just going to go down and cut out my cookies just like this. And then, of course, if you want to make them smaller, you can cut them in half just like this, make them a little bit smaller. That's fine too. So this is what it looks like when they're done. So I cut these all up. And then if you're going to pack them up, if you're taking them somewhere or you want to store them in the fridge, just use some wax paper if you're going to double it up just like this. And then you can put another layer on. So there it is. That's how you make Italian rainbow cookies. And I'll tell you what, these came out just like the bakery. You got to check these out. It's a little bit of work, but after you do it a couple times, you'll get used to it. Just take a look at how great these look. Hey, I hope you liked the video, and I hope you make these cookies. Thanks for checking it out. Hey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, and we'll see you on the next one.